I even decided to go to the playground after God knows how many years. I haven't gone to the playground since I was a kid, and today I just felt like being like a kid today. So I just hung out at the park, played on the swings a little bit. I had the whole playground to myself, so I was having some fun. I was having some fun. Um, but the thing is that after I left the park, I ended up getting a phone call. But before I get into that, I just wanted to talk to you guys about the whole situation, what I'm going through. Um, Here in Puerto Rico, I've noticed for the past 9 years that I've been here that the employment status here for a lot of people is basically next to none. If you get a job here, you are one of the lucky few. Like it's basically like a 5% that can get a job right away, and then there's the rest of that 95 that have to struggle selling bottles of water in the middle of the road, selling fruits, selling vegetables, you know, all that stuff. And I've been applying for jobs. I Not too long after I got here, I did get a job, but I ended up getting a job because of somebody I knew, and I got a job. I was doing security. I was there for 6 months, and I was always working there. I would work on my days off when they called me in. I would never say no because who's gonna say no to money? You know, you need to make as much as you can, to get by. Full-time jobs are really hard to come by, more than part-time jobs. But one day I called them and told them I couldn't come into work, and my reason was valid. My reason was important. It was my mom's wedding day, and I get a whole lot of crap from the chief of the security company telling me that I can't call out or have somebody to and they can't have somebody replace me on that day, regardless of the fact that they would do that for others. People say they couldn't go to work, and then they would call me up on the phone and ask me if would I take their shift, and I would say yes. I wouldn't hesitate because I didn't want to lose my job. And I wanted them to know that I was dedicated to my job, that I would go in there when they needed me. But when I needed to miss a day, because of the fact of the matter is, I had something very important to do, I get reprimanded, and I get reprimanded verbally. I never had a written paper about it. So basically, what they did the following day, I got a phone call. So after my mom's wedding, I got a phone call from the secretary of the security company, and they tell me that I'm suspended. And they didn't say I was suspended indefinitely because indefinitely, they until further notice, I guess. Um, so I would keep calling every week. Is my suspension over? Is my suspension like no? And then one time I called, and I still remember to this day that they told me that they have to work me back into the schedule because they didn't have a shift available for me. And I found that hard to believe because unless they hired somebody to take my place during my suspension, which would seem really weird, why would you hire somebody new to replace somebody that's only suspended? You usually only do that when you fire somebody. So, long story short about that, 5 months went by, and I was never reinstated into the company. So I was suspended, and they would not give me the paperwork for me to collect unemployment. Because the only way for me to collect unemployment is if they gave me paper saying they let me go. Because if I quit, I can't collect unemployment. And knowing that how hard to find a job it was and still is at this time, I can't do that. I had stuff I needed to pay for. I don't live for free. You know, Everything costs money. Food costs money. Gas costs money. Everything costs money. So it took 5 months. They finally gave me the paperwork I collected. I thought to myself, okay, after this, I'm gonna apply every single place. I'm gonna apply here. I'm gonna apply there. McDonald's, Burger King, clothing stores, shoe stores, cell phone places, jewelry stores. I've applied every single place, and after about 4 months, I, I got I got a phone call from a Foot Locker. Okay, they called me. I was about an hour and 15 minutes away. I was I live in Kamui, and I was in all the way in Mayagüez, and that's pretty far because the store is actually in Atillo, which was a little bit further. Because from Mayagüez to Atillo, that would have been like basically an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. All right, so and I had just gotten to Mayagüez. I drove from my house to that town, and 10 minutes after I get there, I get a phone call from the store, and now I have to rush back, take a shower, clean up, dress myself up, for an expected interview. And I get there, and it's not even an interview. They take me into the stock room, sit me down, and have me fill out these forms. It's basically that questionnaire that you get when you do online applications, like they ask you questions about what would you do in this situation. Do you have experience in this and that, and it was basically 3 pages long. And one part I had to like basically write an essay. After about a half hour of filling out the paperwork, okay, I was like, I'm done. Now it's time for, the interview to talk to the manager. I was wrong. I got out there, and the minute I talked to the manager, he takes the paper and tells me, okay, we'll call you if we decide to hire you. I'm like, I thought you were hiring me. Like, no, no, no. This is just we needed people that applied to come in and fill out this paperwork, so that way we can go through them. Well, actually, the owner of the store can go through them, the district manager, and pick who they want. And I drove all that way. I drove an hour and 50 minutes to get to where I was going, and then I had to drive an hour and a half to get to the what I thought was an interview. So that was down. So from 2011 all the way till 2015, I applied for jobs. Um, had an interview for a pretzel place, one of the easiest jobs you can have. And I had so many experiences working at McDonald's, and I had worked at a pretzel place prior. I worked at a pretzel place, and regardless of that fact, I didn't get the job either. So I ended up finally getting a job working at Toys R Us, and but it was only seasonal. It only lasted about 2 months, and then by January, before Three Kings Day, I was out of work again. And I applied. That whole year went by. I was out of work until that same October of that year, and Toys R Us called me back again to work for the holiday season. I was like, okay. That was back in 2016. We're now 2018, and I haven't had a job since that day, and it's been hard. And then today, I get a phone call from a manager where I left an application not too long ago, and it was just a courtesy call. It was just a courtesy call to let people know they found who they were looking for, uh, and it wasn't me. And I already had it up to here with the whole rejection or not, no phone calls, no interviews from these employers, and with me having more than 10 years of experience. So I decided, it just came out of my mouth. I decided I wanted to know, why was I denied the job? Like, why? And his answer really upset me. Yet I did not show it. I did not show how upset I was. His answer, believe it or not, was the fact that my previous job history was because I had too many jobs. I had too many jobs. There's no such thing. And he said it's because at one point in my life, during the time from when I started working, I carried three jobs at once. I was working at a Friendlies. I was working at a basically a store that owned by TJ Maxx, and I was working taking photos of kids with Santa Claus, and that was only a seasonal job. The other two were two part-time jobs, and he told me that because of me having so many jobs, I could never get another job because it looks bad on my resume or job history. That regardless of where I apply, because of the fact that I've carried so many jobs throughout the years, they find me unloyal or unstable in some way. Okay, I was like, I don't believe what you're saying, because the fact of the matter is, I've decided at one point to apply for several jobs in the U.S. In the area where I used to live in Connecticut, I've even applied in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Florida, just to see if it was my resume, was it my job history, was it that I was too experienced. Okay, believe it or not, not too long after I sent these resumes and I filled out these online applications, I was getting phone calls here and there for several jobs. I was even offered a job of a manager for a public storage place, and this place would have offered me a place to stay if I got the job, and they were very interested. They said my experience was amazing, and they wanted a person with that background and experience, knowing that I've worked these several aspects, and every single job that I've had has carried on an aspect that they were looking for in a manager. Working the register, working the stock, checking the floor, checking security cameras, and so on, and other places too. I even got offers for places like the Cheesecake Factory. I've got offers for several stores, and here I can't get nothing, and I'm told that because of the fact of the matter I've had so many jobs in my life, that's the reason why I'll never find work again. Knowing the fact that I haven't had an actual full-time job besides the seasonal in since basically 2011, so I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna give you guys a very small but valuable piece of advice. If you guys ever think about making a life here in Puerto Rico, make sure the fact that you actually have a job lined up that's not going to break the contract by the time that you move. Because I was given a transfer before I moved here in 2009. Because I moved here because my grandmother was very ill, and was told that she only had months to live. So I came down here to be by her side and my grandfather's and my mother's. But when I got here, I went to the place where they were going to give me the transfer, or the store I was going to be working at. And when I got there, the manager of the store told me the transfer never went through. And then when I found out by somebody, I made friends with one of the coworkers. I found out that they hired a bunch of people not too long after, and they were both about 16, 17 years old, and that they were related to the manager. So I found out that here in Puerto Rico, it's not what you know, what experience you have, but who you know. You actually have to know somebody the majority of the time here in Puerto Rico just to get a job, a basic job, not a high ranking job, not an office job. We're talking even just at a game store. What's what's up with that? You know, a game store. I had the experience. I worked for the same game store in Connecticut. How come I couldn't get the job? You know, it's they look out for family when they had an opening. So if you guys ever decide to come to this island, I would advise don't do it. Just come here for a vacation. Enjoy the sand, the sun, the blue water, and everything. But to make a life here, unless you're one of those rich people or people that have high paying job and you're your own boss, fine, by all means, make a life here. But if you're not, and you're just a part time worker or a full time worker getting by, having kids and everything, no, stay where you are because over here we have a higher sales tax on food, which is 11.5. Everywhere you go, you need a car, and gas is expensive. And if you don't have a car, you're not getting anywhere. Plain and simple. So, and if you've had a lot of experience in several different jobs, it's not gonna do you good because it hasn't done me good here. If anything, it's actually done the opposite from what apparently from what the manager told me today. So I don't know what's gonna happen after that. It just really upset me knowing the fact of the matter is that a manager would tell me that that's the reason why I didn't get the job, why I might not ever find a job because of my employee background of having so many jobs in the past. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and so you guys know what's going on with my day today. You know, it started off good, but then the afternoon it was very bad. And if you guys understand where I'm coming from, if you are have been in that same situation or a similar situation, you know, just click that like button and you know, please subscribe because I'm trying to make a career of this because if I can't find a job, I decided maybe I should go into vlogging and see if I can make my own job, make my own career of doing something creative of some way and to connect with you guys out there in the world of the internet and around the world. So I just hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from with what I decided to do, and you guys can be there for me. And if you guys need anybody, I can be there for you guys. You know, I am a good friend, and I want to make some good friends here on YouTube and everything. So just let me know. Remember, click like and subscribe, and hopefully we can, you know, become friends and family together.